I'm Margaret Moody, and I'm a puppeteer. I give puppet shows in libraries, in schools, in community centers, and places like that. We started working professionally in 1987 in New York with a friend who I still work with on certain shows. But I had already been playing with kids and puppets for a couple years before that. Like so many puppeteers, I didn't see live puppetry when I was a kid. The puppet show I can remember is the one in Sound of Music, Bill Baird's Incredible Marionettes, bum ba da dum ba da bum bum ba da. And then it wasn't till I was in college that I saw professional puppetry, and it was beautiful. So I started playing with kids and puppets when I had a job teaching English a year before college. And I just found that these kids were mainly Vietnamese and Laotian, and they were sort of afraid of me. But if I had a puppet, they weren't afraid of the puppet. So then I just made silly characters to have something to do. Later on, I studied traditional puppetry in Taiwan. This is a Budaishi puppet. And I started making puppets that used the same design. This puppet has a head and feet that are kind of weighted, so he can flip back and forth. He can sometimes, if we're lucky, flip like that. And I've had a lot of fun making puppets that can do similar things. After I got out of college, I went to Taiwan. I had studied some Chinese and I thought, wow, I really want to learn to speak Chinese. But I got there and I met some other students, and this French guy said, "You like puppets? You have to come meet my master." So I met this master puppeteer, Li Tianlu, who was in his 80s. And his hands looked like he had extra joints that I don't have. And he would just sit on the couch cross-legged and show puppets. And do rhythm. He'd go dong dong da da say da da dong da da say da dong. And he accepted Chinese students, Taiwanese students, foreign students, anyone who really wanted to commit to studying. So I started going to his house every morning, which was like an hour bus ride, and then I would study or teach English in the afternoon. And so that was the beginning. So it was not, the emphasis wasn't on creativity, it was on learn to make the puppet move. Use the face, use the body. And I found it to be a great basic thing to know that. And then after that, I started experimenting with other kinds of puppetry and with original stories and Western stories. More and more, I find what interests me is emotional connection with kids. So I remember my friend Madeline again, and Anne, they're both who you'll meet in a minute, are both preschool teachers. And preschool teachers know all the problems they're going to have in a classroom. So I asked my friend Madeline, I've got a show about sharing. I know that's a big deal. Oh, she said, we need one about taking turns. So I have a show about taking turns because that's something really hard for kids to learn.
I thought we were taking turns.
Well, we were, but you took the ball, and now I don't have the ball.
Doggy, I didn't mean to.
And things, so I really like sort of hitting on the things that kids are thinking about in their emotional world. When I perform, I hope that my audience, the people in the audience, connect with one of the characters, and rather than thinking just, so that's what a pig's like, but feel like, I remember when I felt mad like that pig. I remember when I pushed my friend like that pig did. And I remember when I felt like Doggy and I just wanted to howl. Connection, that's what I want. I like creating the characters and the voices. I don't have that many voices, but I find that, I have kind of a dopey one.
And a kind of cranky kid.
And I have a few more. But you can do a lot with tempo and just tone. I have an idea of the personality I want, and then through the mistakes I make, the puppets reveal themselves. Like, this one, what was it about her? Her eyes aren't quite in the right place. She should be looking down all the time because kids are at a lower level, but she's not. So she's got to move a lot. And that suits a kid, but it wasn't the plan. I I love needle felting. These two puppets are felted, so I take big gobs of wool and I use a really sharp needle to punch them down, so that's a big deal. And another big deal is my sewing machine, which I think is under that messy table. But these puppets have a little fabric body, and everything is fabric sewn together, and then the heads, whatever they're made of, are added on. So those are the things I really need. On a day of a performance, I try to load the stage the day before because that's already 20, 30 minutes of lifting and sweating. So I get the stage all loaded up, and then the next day, got to get there. And it takes an hour to set the stage up. It all breaks down into poles and cloth, but still it takes a while. The strange thing is, sometimes you have a chance to set it up the day before, and that doesn't feel right. What I like is to have this time to sort of build a house that I'm going to stay behind, and you won't see very much of me, and then start the show. The shows are usually, 30 to 45 minutes. I'm in one in someone else's show that's 60 minutes. Sorry. So this is the set for The Trolls in the Tree, and I'm fabulously lucky to have worked with and still be working with Ann Wynn and Peter Lehman on this. I wanted to do a show that really brought home the importance of trees and plants in the natural world. And Anne has spent years, her career as a nature-based educator, helping kids enjoy being outdoors and making art while outdoors. So she was a natural person to collaborate with. Peter can kind of take any situation and find a period of musical history that corresponds. So in this show, the trolls have Willie Nelson in the background, and the fairies have some kind of French Renaissance stuff. So it's really wonderful to have that all literally at your fingertips. And this has been a collaboration. I had a basic story, but we went through it and refined it. And the idea is that the fairies kind of live in paradise, but they're going away for a week, and they get these trolls to come garden sit. The trolls are late, they don't get any instructions, and things don't go as planned.
See? Squirrels, acorns? Silly squirrel.
So I'm Ann Wynn, and I play Squirrel in the show. And reading to children and acting out stories has always been so much fun for all of us, for the kids. And I think puppet shows are the closest to the way kids play. They animate their toys all the time. And they're so willing to make things alive and magic. And so I've always said, you can be a terrible puppeteer with a group of children and they'll eat it up. So to work with a master puppeteer is a really fantastic, yeah. So it's been fun trying to work this little guy. And he doesn't talk, but I try to make him a squirrel.
He can't fly. Yeah. Cobweb. Let's hide squirrels, acorns under the tree.
Margaret has all these incredible puppets. I know she showed her Chinese puppets. So she makes these. So this is fabric, and this furry fabric, but the tail actually has inside, I don't know if you can see it, there's a rod that I can hold, and so his tail is a prominent expressor of things. He flicks it all the time. And if you watched Gray Squirrels, they often do that too. Yeah, and so he didn't have these little haunches, and I felt like in order for him to sort of sit and do his squirrel thing, he kind of needed more bulk down here. So the whole puppet design is brilliant. It's really amazing. And all the props. I love seeing what Margaret makes. Fabulous.
Bye, squirrel!
participating in the magic of a story and believing, like I do, and my husband, we both believe that these characters are alive. We quote them often when you meet the trolls, and they're always there with you because they're such real personalities. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Shiny white plastic. Oh boy. Okay, I just dropped my toast in, just like on TV. And now it's, oh yeah.
Sure, my name is Peter Lehman, and I play kind of really just background music and accompaniment to the show. Really what the music is a combination of very old music, and that music, French Baroque music, is to accompany with the fairies. So whenever they come in, it's this beautiful old Baroque music. But then when the trolls come in, very much contrasting music, I play sort of Americana. Not typical on this particular instrument, but it's fun. It's fun contrast. So and that just came very naturally out of the beautiful, elegant fairies that Margaret has created, and the kind of well, I won't give them any derogatory, but the trolls are trolls, so good music for that.
5, 3, 2, 1. Oh! It worked! Blomba! Blomba! Look at my toast!
Wow. Oh, honey, I want to make some toast.
Whoa!
Right. So the process for selecting the music is very organic. We try some things. Margaret writes all of the shows, and they develop. And so I think I try some things out and show Margaret and Anne, and we talk about them. And then I think part of it is getting a nice pacing between sections of the music. I mean, it's not an opera. It's not music all the time. So we have to sort of find appropriate things for each of the different scenes, and then some sort of pace to that. This is a type of a lute, and I don't always play this instrument. I'll also play mandolin or guitar. But this is really nice, a big French Baroque lute. It's got 14 strings, but you sort of play guitar-like on the top, chords, and then you can reach down and hit bass strings that are open. What do I hope the audience takes away? It's funny, I almost think that if they don't really even notice that the music's there, it's not a main character, but if they get a sense, a feeling of the magic, that's what I'm hoping they take away.
I find that's interesting is when I talk to young artists, I feel like they've already thought things through so much better than I did when I was in my 20s. So I sometimes feel like the advice flow goes the other way. Like my daughter's friend said to me the other day, maybe you should just write it all down and then just circle the ones you want to do. And I thought, oh, you've been thinking about this. I have found Arlington a wonderful place to perform because people are interested in art, and there are lots of kids, and parents and grandparents and aunties and uncles are very dedicated to taking kids out to meet and greet and try things. So I've found that you don't always make a lot of money here, but you get a lot of support. I've been in touch with ACA for a long time, and when they were still at the Gibbs, I did a puppet series like once a month for about 6 years as a way to kind of get in touch with Arlington audiences. And I became a studio artist during the pandemic when all of a sudden 2 of my kids came home and the kids downstairs were home all the time, and I felt like my doorbell rang all the time. Do you have time to do this? Could we see your puppets? Can you take us here? Could we do that? And I just needed a space, so I came and talked to Tom. Tom was the director already, and I've been here ever since. I hope I would just love to leave you all with my my website, margaretmoodypuppets.com. And on there, you'll see an upcoming public shows tab. So click on it and you'll find the shows that I can welcome everybody to come see.
Let's go. Dewdrop said we should lead the way. Okay. Bye, squirrel.
ACMi productions are only made possible with your support. Visit patreon.com/ACMi to learn how you can help.